I don't trust myself to forgive. Quick backstory: my childhood was extremely traumatic, living in drug houses, addicted parents, physical abuse that ultimately landed me in foster care, where sadly things didn't get better. So, given all that, my choice of men as I aged was far from the best. Even with all the therapy and healing I attempted to do, I ended up in an emotionally abusive relationship. We had 2 children before I found Mayat. To no shock, I did not heal from that. I did not see the part I was playing in these toxic relationships, and I ended up in another abusive relationship shortly after. This one was 10x worse and resulted in a lot of physical abuse. I became a very timid, fearful woman. Through God, I found healing. I joined a DV support group and worked with them to leave the relationship. Leaving took something extreme, and while it's affected my life, I do not regret it. One morning, after he spent the night with a woman he had been cheating on me with for over 2 years. When he got home, I told him I knew where he was and I'd like him to leave. It was over. He obviously lost it, as abusers do when caught. He shoved me to the ground while he screamed at me. I was terrified he would hurt me more than he had before. I jumped, grabbed my pepper spray from my keys, and yelled at him to please leave when he didn't and started coming at me again. I prepped, sprayed. After, he laughed at me and called the police because I used a weapon and he didn't, along with never reporting the strangulations and him hitting me, even though I had photos for proof. I went to jail and spent a day and a half there. No charges were pushed, but it is permanently on my record. Thankfully, when I was released, him and all his stuff were gone and I was able to move on with my life. During the process of healing, I met a kind man. He was loving, calm, and his communication was amazing. I feel for him hard. He had his flaws but was perfect in my eyes. After a few weeks of dates, we decided to make it official. Before he made that decision, I let him know of my past. I told him everything and the boundaries I'd have because of it. Absolutely no lying. No cheating or talking to other women, and abuse obviously. I learned to be clear about my boundaries and leave no wiggle room for them. To say there was a lot of detail. He understood, accepted my past, and wanted to continue with me. He deleted all dating apps and forms of communication he used, for those like Snapchat. 8 months into the relationship, while sitting next to him, I noticed a text come through about Snapchat, saying, "So and so has messaged you." I was really confused because I thought he had deleted it. It was never on his phone and I have full access to his phone. He never really hid it. I didn't say anything, and later that download a Snapchat onto his phone and saw over the last 3 to 4 months he had been talking with other women. Some were casual and some definitely not. Most of the messages I could not see, but the one I could specifically was detailed, talking about past sexual experiences with each other, asking for videos of her twerking and making comments on her looks. It destroyed me. I gave up something so sacred to myself, my safety and my trust, and he betrayed that. I couldn't understand why, though. He truly was a loving, kind man. I'm bringing it up with him. He started to lie, but then slowly became truthful. Yes, he's been using it for the past few months, and he was just seeking attention. That it makes him feel better about himself, and truly it had nothing to do with me. Now, while he was remorseful and accountable, he refused to say it was actually cheating because there was nothing physical. He wanted to see a couples therapist with me so we could heal through it, because truly he was sorry and didn't want to lose me. This aspect, though, of not really seeing it as a big deal. Not seeing it as cheating, but only seeing how it's affected me, was really bothering me. If he can't accept what he did was wrong, who's to say he won't do it again? I also felt like if I took him back, I was breaking my boundaries. Well, not more than a week after this event, only 8 months into the relationship, I discovered I was pregnant. This put me into a crazy panic, especially given my pregnancies beforehand were extremely traumatic due to my relationship at the time. I went into a straight PTSD attack. When I was finally able to calm down, I told him a few days later. To my surprise, he was beyond excited. His reaction was like one of those you would see on a YouTube video. The reaction you would want to see out of a man, and here I was the one terrified, for obvious reasons. He told me it would be okay, we got this, and let's just make sure we continue with therapy. The last month has been difficult to say the least. My pregnancy hormones along with the cheating has put me into a very bad mental state. I'm extremely depressed and reacting out of my trauma. Now mind you, it's only been a month since I found out of his betrayal. This isn't long enough to heal, especially when you're pregnant, but my inability to heal from this is affecting him. He still can't see why it's such a big deal to me. That if he was actually sleeping with somebody, that would have been way worse, and that I should allow us to move on from this. Well, I don't disagree with him, it's just not that simple. I'm living in the what if. I already have 2 children and struggle to care for them as a single mother. What if he does it again and now I'm a single mother of 3 children? I don't trust myself to forgive him because if I drop this wall and it happens again, I don't know if mentally I can handle it. I feel like I might finally break and never really come back from it. I just don't know what to do. Story number 2. Cheating ex back after 14 plus years. When I 30 female was 16, my first love cheated on me. I thought we were very happy. There was never any indication that he was unhappy or that anything like this would happen. Everyone around me, from my friends to the adults around us, would always comment how sweet and good he was to me. Then one Monday I noticed he was acting a bit weird, but didn't think much of it. After school, he walks me home and tells me that he got way too drunk over the weekend and slept with someone else. I was absolutely crushed and fell into a very dark place. To make matters worse, I heard through the grapevine that he was going around talking shit about me. I never knew exactly what he said, but something that was making others say that I deserved it. I promised myself I would never let anyone hurt me that way again and put up some very intense walls. For the next 10 years, I dated and even got into relationships, but I never had feelings for any of these people. I got the ick when people showed interest in me, and unfortunately broke a few hearts. Until one day I decided I couldn't continue closing myself off to genuine love and decided to seek therapy. Long story short, several months ago, I ran into him at an event for a mutual friend. After not speaking since high school, I had long decided to forgive him by that point, because I felt like I deserved better than to live with bitterness and resentment. It was a bit awkward at first, but we exchanged pleasantries and caught up for a bit. One thing I noticed was that he couldn't keep his eyes off me. I'd catch him literally staring at me from across the room. Every time I spoke, he'd hang on to my every word. He follows me on IG a few weeks later, and I don't think much of it, but every so often he'll blow up my DMs in the middle of the night, or like a bunch of old pictures, or leave fire emojis in the comments. I never engage. I find it stupid yet amusing. I wish I could go back and hug my 16-year-old depressed self and tell her that not only would he be back, but that one day it would no longer matter anymore. My heart goes out to you all dealing with this right now. It will all be okay one day, and you will heal and smile and love again.